They called it Jing'an, the city of still peace, though no one who lived there truly believed in either. An ancient parchment map unfurls, 2 rivers cross like blades, the rooftops stretch endlessly, tiled in weathered grey, temple domes glint beneath faint morning light, narrow streets coil through market stalls and forgotten courtyards. Built where 2 rivers met, Jing'an was the weary heart of an empire too old to know it was dying. Its walls still carried the poems of long-dead emperors. Its streets wove through tea gardens and execution courts in equal measure. Lanterns drifted above the rooftops like prayers no gods bothered answering. The lanterns rise, red and gold, their silk catching on wind currents. Down below, shadows slip through alleys, vanishing like whispers. In the north, scholars in pale robes buried themselves in brushwork, memorizing verses penned by men they feared. To the east, swordsmen trained in silence, waiting for a war the court still pretended wouldn't come. The west sold porcelain gossip, sweet wine, and carefully constructed lies. And in the south, near the plum-blossom gates, a young girl once learned to play music, and later learned to survive the silence left behind. The emperor ruled from a throne polished by generations of regret. Beyond the palace walls, the Jianghu, the world of blades, banners, and oath-bound killers, was rising, loud, righteous, wrong. Beneath it all, the city listened. A coin passes from one hand to another. A blade glints in shadow. Eaves drip faintly from early spring rain. In Jing'an, stillness never means safety. Silence is never pure. And peace? Peace is simply the quiet before a sword is drawn. The capital's east gate creaks open, ancient wood straining against iron bolts. A young man waits among traders, pilgrims and scholars muttering verses like incantations. His brown robe hangs plain and worn, cuffs frayed just enough to blend in. His dark hair is tied loose at the back, a single lock falling across his forehead like an unfinished poem. Ink stains his fingers, but his hands bear the quiet calluses of restraint, not writing. There's no blade at his waist, but he walks like someone who remembers exactly where one is buried. His eyes are steady, dark, not sharp, but absorbing like ink spilled on silk. He says little. When he does, it sounds written first, spoken second. The line crawls forward. Carts trundle past, carrying bolts of silk and crimson wedding banners. Mourners in grey pass a wedding procession in red, the contradictions blending like a bad joke only the capital understands. At the head of the line, a constable eyes the papers in the young man's hand, pausing when his gaze catches the straw-wrapped shape pressed to his pack. "Exam candidate?" the constable asks, suspicion flickering under boredom. The reply comes calm, unhurried, from Huayang. "That's a long way." The guard squints, studying him more closely now. "So are the exams." The faintest smile touches the young man's face. There's a pause, a grunt, then the stamp of approval hits parchment, heavy as fate. Moy steps through the gate. Plum smoke curls on the wind. Old riverstones line the streets, worn smooth by centuries of footsteps and regret. The capital smells different in spring, damp stone, burnt incense, a faint sweetness of blossoming plums clinging to the wind. The air tastes like poetry, familiar, a little sad. His fingers tighten around the strap of his satchel, too light for comfort. 2 brushes, a string-bound journal, a sword he hasn't touched since the river province, and a half-smudged exam pass creased in 3 places. His teacher's words echo faintly like old advice that never truly leaves. "Keep your head down, you're here to learn, nothing more." It had sounded simple enough, but another memory stirs. A hand rests heavy on his shoulder, a different voice, deep and worn. "To carry a sword is to carry mourning. Strike only when your soul can weep for the blood you spill." Above the market, Bayushuan sits balanced on the edge of a tiled roof, one leg dangling into empty space, the other propped just high enough to rest a teacup on her knee. She moves like snowfall, quiet, deliberate, impossible to forget. Her robes are white, not for beauty, but for defiance. White like mourning, white like a challenge, white like the blade never far from her hand. Her hair is dark and neatly braided, the strands catching faint glints of silver in the morning light. Her eyes are what make people pause. Not soft, not cruel, measured. The eyes of someone who's already survived what they fear. Grey eyes, rimmed with stillness, the colour of ash that once burned bright. She isn't beautiful in the painted, courtly sense, but striking like a storm, impossible to ignore, unwise to approach. Across from her, Moyuni sprawls flat on the roof, flicking sunflower seeds at a pigeon with theatrical boredom. Normal noble daughters drink tea inside, you know, Yuni remarks, shielding her eyes from the sun. I'm not normal. True, normal daughters embroider, or cry, or marry fat sons of officials. You stabbed your embroidery instructor. A faint sip of tea follows. She still trembles near silk. A soft breeze ripples through the city. Plum blossoms fall like drifting confessions. Temple bells clang faintly in the distance. The rooftops stretch endlessly around them, stone waves breaking against temples and courtyards. Yuxuan tilts her head, eyes on the rooftops and sky. I like it up here. Because no one can reach you? Yuni asks, one brow rising behind her fringe of hair. Because no one can tell me what to be. Propping herself on one elbow, Yuni grins. What if fate climbs up here one day? Boots, scrolls, bad poetry. Yuxuan doesn't look over, but the corner of her mouth lifts. Then fate better watch its step. You'll trip over some poor scholar and fall headfirst into destiny. A quiet scoff. I don't fall. Yuni's voice trails after her with teasing certainty. You say that now. They laugh quietly, unaware fate is already on its way. By mid-morning, the young man from Huayang has already gotten lost twice, mistaken a goat for a guide, and overpaid for steamed buns that taste vaguely of soap. The outer market sprawls around him, banners flapping in the breeze. A bright crimson sign hangs above a dumpling stall, boasting bold, cheerful letters. Try the Empress's favourite dumplings, probably safe. He frowns, debating whether probably counts as culinary assurance. And something lands on him. A shout, a whoop, the crash of ceramic as a wine jar shatters across the street. High above, two figures teeter on the rooftop edge. Yuni, that was the last wine jar. A second voice laughing far too brightly. You said don't drop it. I threw it. Moy blinks, still dazed in the dust beside the dumpling stall, looking up at the rooftops. The one in white stands poised, her braid like frost across her back, her robes cut clean, face unreadable. The other clings to the tiles in a lavender apron, grinning like she's never regretted a decision in her life. The girl in white drops from the rooftop like she's done it 100 times before, graceful, sure, practiced. The maid follows, less elegant, knocking over a basket of leeks. Moy stays on the ground, half concussed, entirely certain his day just got worse. He meets her eyes, the girl in white, and fate, it seems, just landed early. I am so sorry, said the maid, brushing her skirt. We had a disagreement with gravity. The other girl turned to Moy, who was still seated in the dust beside the dumpling stall. She was assessing him, not with malice, just precision. Are you injured? He blinked, only in my pride. Good, she said, and held out her hand. He hesitated, then took it. Her grip was warm, sure, unfaltering. He held it longer than necessary. She released it fast. Too fast. Her hand tingled long after the grip was gone, heat blooming like shame. She shouldn't have held on that long. He shouldn't have made her want to. A faint line of colour touched her cheeks as she stepped back. She turned abruptly, brushing invisible dust from her robe. She hadn't meant to touch a man's hand, not in public, not like that. But it was done, and for a moment she felt off balance, and not from the fall.
却因我他夜而亡。我屏息站在你熄灭的火前，是无名之音，是命中的悬念。你挥剑转我心间，羞愧地狱一句别改变。是谁教霜等待春归？谁问星辰悲从何来？只一次心甘堕入爱，不顾誓言不问未来。你眼中风暴沉入海，若需分身我愿为你燃烧。我曾历史无情无泪无线索，是你一触唤醒我沉默。人说我是如是不可转，可你是我独行